Hello there guys, and welcome back to the channel. Right, so this time around we are back again with another Alliance War video, and New Nation is taking on Swedeah's alliance. So now the war is well underway, but I didn't have to join early because I didn't really have mini boss fights. However, I do have some interesting ones. So my team's going to be rank 4 Human Torch, rank 3 Wiccan, and newly rank 4 Bishop. Right, we're going to have a couple of Bishop fights this war as well, which is going to be quite cool. And then we are obviously with the Wiccan on the boss duty, going up against Null Boss yet again. Now the setting, the layout of this war is extremely close. Just so you guys can put yourselves in my shoes at the beginning of this war, we are slightly ahead on the exploration. We are 1 death ahead, so the score is 6-5, and we're behind on time, which means, as things stand right now, if we die, we likely lose. So, as we can see right now, 134 fights to 105. And it's very close. We had a very bad start as an alliance, and then we cleaned our act up, and slowly things equalized. Right, so let's get to it. I'm on path 7 in section 1, and this is a fairly dodgy path. That first node with the conflictor can be very annoying. There have been very annoying long shots placed and things like that. However, obviously, as a Mystic champion, can bring in Human Torch with no flames. And, you know, ideally, in situations like this, you do have Magneto House of X pre-fight, but I do not have one here, so I do need to be very conscious as to when I parry the guy. I also will use an invulnerability boost, just to make sure, again, it's a very close war. And the next fight there, Kingpin is basically a candy. Kingpin is basically a candy for Bishop, and you guys are going to see why. Bishop against Kingpin is like one of my favorite cheesy Battlegrounds matchups quite often as well. So here, again, the plan is basically to hold block and try and dex away from his heavies without triggering precision. As we can see, I have managed to do it successfully twice, because that heavy is kind of a bit slower and doesn't have as wide of a reach as it initially appears. It's not too bad. Here, however, I do make a mistake. I go in to punish the level 1, and he had already gotten to his level 1 yet again, and I eat that level 1. And with that, I actually lose all my indestructible 3 boost. So at this point, the fight is kind of getting a bit spicy. But I noticed his HP just absolutely dwindling out, and luckily I was able to finish out that fight kind of like in time after losing that indestructible 3 boost. I was quite happy with those dexes that I managed to achieve without triggering precision. Those are definitely quite helpful. And now we have this vivified brute force Kingpin. Right, and when it comes to dealing with Kingpin, there are few champions better than Bishop. So you're going to see that every time I'm going to parry, and if he does trigger his shrug off mechanic, he takes damage. The coolest thing when you use Bishop against Kingpin is when Kingpin gets to 8 debuffs total, he purifies all 8 of them, and all 8 of them do damage directly to him. So here I'm taking a little bit of degen, it's not a big deal, whatever. Everything's fine, and now I finally have gotten to my level 1, which I do drop. And at this point, the mission of the fight is just basically stay close to Kingpin. You can see that he immediately lost a huge chunk of health, and now as he's gonna carry on purifying stuff, he just drops dead. That's about it. Bishop is amazing against Kingpin, especially when you spam your level 1 to trigger the Incinerate, which he has chance to shrug off. And eventually he does get to his overpower buff, shrugs off 8 at once, and as you saw there, takes a massive amount of damage pretty much immediately. Now in section 2, I am heading to path 3, and this wasn't initially the plan as well. It was initially kind of assigned just to sit back in section 3, but we decided that Bishop should be best option, safest option here against this Jabari Panther, because if something does go wrong, I can purify the bleeds, which will be extremely easy. And on top of that, you can play normally. You don't need to worry about Jabari Panther basically purifying your parry stun, because if she does, she gets passively stunned, which is perfect. Here I am at 38 prowess, using my level 2, and we saw a big pew pew. And that's a nice 3k incinerate there, dealing damage as well. And that level 2 was basically enough to finish off the fight. So, so far so good. Now I had to wait for that Omega Sentinel to get cleared, and the path to the boss is free. So this is going to be second null boss that I take this season. Took one in war number 1, war number 2 we had different boss, and now war number 3 I'm back on the null duty. And Wiccan is perfect for that fight. He's immune to armor breaks, he's immune to reverse controls, he can block unblockable attacks from cosmics. Basically, you just need to make sure you don't get hit in the face, and everything's going to be fine. So I'm boosted up here, I'm going to put on an indestructible boost as well, and let's get to it. So the first critical part of this fight is to activate your resistance up as the first spell, because then you can start blocking the unblockables. Then you want to get up your neutralize, and then you can finish a combo with light to get in an incinerate, further pause everything that needs to be paused, and you can bait out whichever special attack you really want from null. However, one of the crucial points that I noticed in several, and here is where we need to pause. One of the crucial kind of problems that I noticed is because null does have 100% increased ability accuracy, his buffs can still proc. If he throws a level 1, it introduces additional timer for you to look out for. Now, even though Wiccan is immune to reverse controls, when Awakened Null enters his corruption mode, whatever, he does get unblockable and unstoppable buff for a couple of seconds, which can lead you to mess up. In fact, it led to a situation where I could have been punished by null in the previous match. So my thought process for this fight was to ideally push null to level 2s, because then he would never try to enter corruption, and I never would have to think even about him potentially going unstoppable or unblockable, which is gonna turn out to be my downfall in this fight, because I do need to bait out those level 2. Yes, I take a slight block damage. I'm not too fussed about taking any block damage in reality. Here I go for my level 2. The fight is still absolutely going perfectly. There's absolutely nothing wrong. I'm again doing full combo, convert and incinerate there. I waste 2 out of 3 of my indestructibles, which is also going to come into play. Here I am getting another resistance up, he's dropping his level 2, everything's fine. I am in my corner, but I'm not too worried, because why would I be, right? I just need to make sure I get to another level 2 and everything's gonna be fine. So here we go in and punish, and so here we can see that null is at nearly 3 bars of power, and I lost my last indestructible shield just at the wrong moment. And with that mistake and playing passively, I basically got stuck in the corner, and null got 3 bars of power. So that was kind of the 2 errors. Obviously, letting my block down and getting hit, losing my indestructible 3 boost was very big part of it. Otherwise, I could have survived this level 3 and still pulled out the fight. That goes without saying. But also, kind of structurally, this fight did not feel as straightforward as the first time I fought null. And the difference here is, number one, I focused myself to get to level 2s, and because of that I kind of ended up blocking more and losing ground slightly more, because I didn't throw that level 1, which throws null back deeper into his side of the map. And the second thing is I focused on baiting out the level 2s, which again, as soon as I got stuck and he hit me from this point forward, we're going to see that I got stuck on my side of the screen with him being nearly at 3 bars of power. So here I'm going to go in, I'm going to finish combo with medium. He's nearly at 3 bars of power, well, to some. Here he hits me 3 times, takes away my last indestructible, and here I just need to basically dance in the corner, which obviously is hard, and he didn't throw his level 2, and the problem starts. So this is my first death of the season. This is my first death in 13-14 wars now. Unfortunate. So I do revive my Wiccan. Luckily his health pool is very small. Even fully boosted up, he's only 47k. If you didn't know that, Wiccan is one of the kind of squishiest Mystic champions as well. But yeah, unfortunately it's just, I got chipped and clipped. If I still had my indestructible boost active, obviously I could have survived at level 3 and easily pulled out a W there in that match. But things happen. And here we're going to see me kind of like finish off that fight pretty much perfectly. Got my resistance up, I got my neutralize on, I got my incinerates on, I dropped my level 2. Null goes for his level 2, we don't care about that. I got another resistance up, bait out a heavy attack. He still has his incinerates ticking away. Everything is, you know, quite sweet. I still have 4 passive, 10 active incinerates. I go for another level 1, place on some more incinerates, and the null is just melting. I should have, and here I do eat a last hit of that level heavy attack, but it really doesn't matter because he's pretty much dead at this point. And yeah, it is stupid death. Definitely could have been avoided. I feel very bad. Now, I already asked my team to give me the next null boss. If we get another one, to let me redeem myself. I did not play well at all in that first boss fight. And to make situation worse, as I said in the beginning, if I get KO'd, we're basically put in a position to lose. Because at that point, we were tied. We are tied on deaths, and even though we are ahead in exploration, it is clear that they are ahead on time. And that made, obviously, extremely stressful war even more stressful. It's always a bad feeling when you're in a war where you're looking at your opponent clearing your defense, you know, basically praying for them to die. Praying for them to get KO'd. But sometimes, you know, wishing somebody input issues or whatnot does come through, and that they did end up getting KO'd additional time. Now, after I took a screenshot, they actually died at another time. So currently the score is 8-6, and we are taking the W in this war because we have cleared the map. They still have a few fights, but we have 2 KO lead. Whew. If we had lost this war, I would have been bummed out for such a long time. But, you know, I'm still pissed off at myself. It definitely was not a great fight. I made, you know, couple of silly gameplay mistakes, but also approached that fight somewhat wrongly. I was too passive. I basically lived in my side of the corner. You could see the difference in the first fight and the second fight, how much, you know, more confident that fight looked compared to the first one. But it's okay. I'll get my revenge on Null, hopefully, one day, as soon as possible. But meanwhile, New Nation takes the win here. So after the first week of season 38, we are 2-1. We lost to GT40, but we did get 2 Ws, one against Swedish Alliance, one against MIBR, I believe. And, you know, again, it's not a perfect season start, but it definitely could be worse. So luckily, we do go on to war number 4 with a, well, being in the win column. Let me know how is your season going, and how are you guys tackling new bosses, new nodes, and which champions are your personal MVPs. And I'm going to catch you guys later. See ya. Hello there guys, and welcome back to the channel. So we have all the information about